Welcome to the Management Minute. This is Becky Gamble. I'd like to share some information with you because I've heard a few different people talking about this and I think it's rather significant. So the Gallup organization does all kinds of research and they do a study on employee engagement. Well, this is the one that I'm concerned about because the key findings in this last study is that the most significant drop in U.S. employee engagement happened this year. It's the most significant drop since 2000. Leaders and managers are affected most, and the engagement is highly related to building an inclusive culture. So this is of concern. So I want to show you the first table here. The first line is the percentage of actively engaged employees, and you can see that was 37, went up to 38, and then down to 31. The actively disengaged down on the bottom was 15, fell to 13, and then back up slightly to 14. Time frames, you can see the first time was in March. The second time frame, basically the first 2 weeks of May, the end of April into May. And then the last part was the first 2 weeks of June. So the problem is the engagement of U.S. workers had been at a high and then fell. So that's not a good direction. And it was the highest ranking at 38% since Gallup started doing the tracking in 2000. So there's a couple of things to keep in mind here. There's the percentage of workers actively disengaged compared to those that are engaged. That ratio is the lowest since the year 2016. So that is not a good thing. Engaged to actively disengaged. I probably said that the wrong direction. So if you take a look at that, that is of concern. The remaining people that fall in the middle of these two are workers that are not engaged. So they are basically psychologically unattached to their work and the company. They put in their time. They don't have really any energy or passion or enthusiasm for their work. Now the other ones, the engaged, we know what that is, and the disengaged actually are people who have performance problems. They might not be regular as far as showing up. They have a bad attitude. They might talk in negative fashion. So they are not contributing and are basically a source of decline for the organization. Now, the other thing that came up is that engagement among managers and leaders dropped in this research. So that was of concern. And they felt less prepared to do their work. So they were dropping in engagement. Some of the regions that engagement dropped was some of the social unrest, employers taking their focus off of their plans, so people didn't know what was really going on. Are we opening, reopening? And some previously laid off employees were returning to work. And so in May, those who were employed and then laid off or furloughed had slightly lower engagement than those who continued to be employed. So the ones that were off and then came back were not as happy or engaged as the ones that were still there the whole time. So unclear communication has caused some strain on engagement, where there's just been so many messages and different things going on that people have been frustrated, angry, and so on. So what can be done? Well, before that, I want to just show you one other table, which I got from another source that I believe might be more current. So if you look at this, we've got the engaged workers at 35%, the disengaged at 52%, and the actively disengaged at 13%. Now, what we would like to see is for our engaged worker number to increase, the disengaged to go down, and obviously the actively disengaged to go down. So there's some information from Gallup and another source on some ideas on how you can improve employee engagement. So I'll just go through those quickly for you. First is to measure what matters most for the employee's performance. So make sure that everybody knows what's being measured and there's the focus on that. That does tend to improve your performance. Act quickly is number 2. So if there are some issues, address them quickly instead of letting them linger. A third point is to make the whole process of talking about engagement and surveying and the discussions, keep that an ongoing process so that you're really working on a continuum. Fourth is to empower managers to drive engagement. So you want to be able to give your managers that opportunity to really work with the team members and develop the engagement that way. Another idea, number 5, would be to make sure that you have a clear mission in your organization and that you're communicating that to everyone. A 6th idea is to value the employees. Let them know that you value them and you value their work. And the last one is to really talk about what is the employee's role and how that supports the mission, how that contributes to the organization, how it makes a difference to the customers and the whole organization. So take a look at your employee engagement. As I said, I'm concerned because it has been dropping, and that's not a good thing for our organizations, and see if any of these ideas would be ones that you could use. Thanks for tuning in to the Management Minute. I'm Becky Amble, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.